Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we're here to do my tips and predictions for finals week 2, 2022. Now, week 1 was absolutely fantastic. We saw some incredible games. We saw some games get out of hand. We saw some golden point games. We saw some big hits, some great tries. We just saw a lot of good games in general. One of the best weeks of footy I've ever seen, especially in terms of finals footy. So, look, I'm intrigued to see what happens in week 2. Obviously, we saw some big teams get eliminated in the Roosters and the Storm. Two sides that I definitely thought were going to be there, in the next couple of weeks. At least at the start of the season anyways. But they're not going to be there. We're going to be looking at the games from the Parramatta Eels and the Canberra Raiders. Then also the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks and the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So we're going to start off with the very first game. There's only 2 games. So we're going to start off with the Parramatta Eels taking on the Canberra Raiders. Now, Parramatta came up against a red-hot Penrith Panthers side, and they were going with him up until Mitchell Moses got knocked out. Now, he's actually been named to play, but I'd still be a little bit sceptical whether he actually does or not, or whether he's going to be effective or not, because I feel like a lot of the Parramatta game plan, it all revolves around Mitchell Moses. So if Mitchell Moses isn't there and a Jacob Arthur's in the side, I have some serious question marks over this football side. The Raiders, absolutely fantastic last week. Now, is that a case of them just knowing how to beat the Storm and having great confidence, or is that them going forward? I'm not exactly sure. They've been playing some pretty good football, especially the second half of the season. A pretty poor start to the season, but they've sort of been able to, cement their side. There's, Fogarty's been back for a little bit. Savage has been able to, nail down that number 1 spot. There's not been a lot of changes in and out of the side. So I feel like they've been able to settle a little bit. Adam Elliott missing for them this week, but I feel like he's pretty replaceable out of all of the forwards. Hudson Young killing it. Joseph Topany absolutely killing it. Arguably the form forward of the whole comp at the moment. He's killing it. But just in terms of picking a winner for this one, like I said, a lot of it does come down to the fact that Mitchell Moses did get knocked out, and they were taking on what I think is probably going to be the team that ends up taking out the whole comp in the Penrith Panthers, and they were sort of matching it with them to a degree. So the Eels definitely played half decent despite the injuries, and I know Penrith ended up sort of going and running away with it, but just in terms of the actual game as a whole, I thought the Eels can take a lot of positives out of it. Obviously, the Raiders are going to take a lot of positives out of their win against Melbourne in Melbourne. Melbourne had everything to play for last week, and they just couldn't get going. And the Raiders, credit to them, great performance. Now, in terms of picking a winner, does make it quite hard because, like I said, a lot comes down to Mitchell Moses. But I'm going to assume that Mitchell Moses plays and he is fit and he's ready to go and he's fired up. And obviously, the Eels just lost, so they're going to be super motivated. Plenty of players who possibly could be their last game for the club as well. So they don't want to go out on a bad note like that. 2 losses in a row. So I think just in terms of the circumstances, I feel like the Eels are going to win this one. However, I think the Raiders are really going to push him, and I think it's going to be a tight one, especially after the performance last week. Raiders going to have lots of confidence. Eels maybe a little bit battered after a loss, but I'm going to be going with the Eels 1-12. I think it's going to be a tight one. Now moving on to the second and final game, which is on Saturday, Cronulla Sutherland Sharks taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. The final squads, Sharks finished 2nd, Rabbitohs finished 7th. Is that really reflective of where these teams both are? I don't think so. I feel like if you actually look on paper, I'm inclined to think that the Rabbitohs side actually might be better on paper. I feel like they've had some rough parts of the season, especially with Latrell being out, but we saw how influential Latrell is, especially when he's on, and the Rabbitohs on, and you can't really stop him. We saw them go down to 11 players and they'll still score and tries. The Rabbitohs they were very good last week. Obviously the game got out of hand. The Roosters definitely weren't at their best. James Tedesco knocked out. I was talking about Mitchell Moses being knocked out. Tedesco going down is arguably even more important. And Suoli'i bombed a couple tries in my opinion. So things could have been a little bit different, but they weren't. And the Rabbitohs really stood up to the occasion. They were fired up. And I think they were ready to go last week. Whether that takes a lot out of them this week and they come up against a Sharks side who, similar to the Eels, have lost and are going to have that motivation. But the Sharks side, they played 90 minutes, and to lose in the fashion that they did, where the game was practically wrapped up, they concede the try, and then they also end up conceding a 40-plus metre field goal. You've got to be absolutely gutted. In saying that, I feel like the Sharks are going to come out. I think they're going to be super motivated, and I think they're going to take it in their stride, but it's just a matter of whether they can back it up after last week, and that goes for both sides because of how physical last week's game of footy was. So, yeah, I don't really know where I want to go with this one because Sharks have been pretty good, but I think in terms of actual ability, I think the Rabbitohs side have a better side, at least better big game players like your Latrells, Cody Walkers and such, Damien Cook. I'm kind of inclined to take the Rabbitohs. Like, Sharks, 2 weeks in a row, done. Probably not the season that they want, and definitely a season that I can see them, picking up victory here and moving on and, taking on Penrith and really pushing them. But for me, I think Rabbitohs going to win this one. I think they'll want revenge against Penrith too. So I think extra motivation for the Rabbitohs side, and I think they're going to take a lot of confidence out of last week, especially the circumstances that they played under. A big occasion, and obviously it's an even bigger occasion this week, and I think they're going to rise to it. So I'm going to go Rabbitohs. I'm going to go Rabbitohs 1-12. I think it'll be another tight one. It's super hard in these finals games to be going 13 plus because defense is. I'm not going to say defense is usually great because we saw some pretty poor defense over the past week, but just in terms of teams like blowing away another side, it's just not going to happen too often. So I think Rabbitohs is going to win this one 1-12. I don't really have any great confidence in any of my picks this week, but that's sort of just where I'm leaning towards. Guys, let me know in the comment section below. Who are your tips for this week? Do you like mine? Do you hate them? Do you dislike them? Do you rate them? Let me know in the comment section below. Would love to hear some feedback. Also, just talk about the week in general. Talk about who you think's going to win, who's going to be good, who's important for this week. Just let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, I'm going to wrap things up here. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. Make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure you use the notification bell. Don't rely on the sub boxes. Use the notification bell and never miss any of my videos. Also, we had to go ahead and chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT for the most part. My Facebook's Mr. Luke, but everything else, including Snapchat, including TikTok, is Mr. Luke and YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad. Also, go ahead and become a member of the channel. Shout out to everybody who's stayed a member of the channel. Haven't exactly been super consistent these days, but thanks to everybody who's stuck solid with me, and we're going to be trying to pick things up a little bit. So become a member, click on the link in the description below, and I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching these tips and predictions. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you in the next one. See you.